Hey, I'm Vin, and this is Give It Space. For the next few minutes, we're going to sit with one feeling, idea, social norm, identity, or just whatever might be weighing on us in this moment. Together, we'll explore where it comes from, why it lingers, and give it room to breathe without trying to fix anything. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's give it some space. Today's episode is all about self sabotage, hence the title Self Sabotage or Self Preservation. And let me tell you, if I were to be the master of any three behaviors, self sabotage would be at the top of said list for sure. Though self sabotage can look different for everybody, and that's exactly why we're here. Like I've said before, I'm not a mental health professional, not a therapist, not a life coach. I'm simply a flawed human being trying to share his experiences with the hope that some listener out there might feel a little less alone in their thoughts. All that being said, I'm starting a tradition in these episodes by firstly defining the topic. This makes it easier for us to digest and gives us a good jumping off point. So here goes. Merriam-Webster does not have a definition for self-sabotage, but their definition of sabotage is an act or process tending to hamper or hurt, deliberate subversion. So that's what sabotage is. And you're going to laugh. For some reason, all I can think of when I hear the word sabotage is those old-timey black and white films with no sound that has like the cheesy bank robbers in the striped shirts. Don't ask me why I think of that. I just do. And like the little handlebar mustache. I don't know. Don't come for me. That's just what I picture. Anyways, that doesn't solve the mystery of self-sabotage. So, dictionary.com defines self-sabotage as the act or habit of behaving in a way that interferes directly with one's own goals, well-being, relationships, etc., as by comfort eating, procrastination, or lashing out at others. Now that's a little more straightforward, and I feel targeted. Basically, self-sabotage is how you would describe actions that prevent or purposely misalign you with your goals or ambitions, sometimes accidentally and often in spite of a subconscious desire for success and happiness. Well, doesn't that just make you want to scream at the top of your lungs? It makes me want to scream at the top of my lungs. If only I were in a car, then I could do that. But the real question is why? Why do our minds allow us to have these types of thoughts? How do we recognize the pattern before it's too late? What makes us believe we are not worthy of our goals, and in turn, what makes us preemptively sabotage our progress? There's an article on Mindbox titled Why We Get in Our Own Way, The Neuroscience of Self-Sabotage, written by Yana Yuhai. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. I'm awful with that. Anyways, I find this article really interesting and I wanted to share it with you guys. Yana mentions how self-sabotage is not actually a lack of willpower. It stems more from a desire for safety. Your amygdala, or the part of the brain that senses danger, tends to interpret uncertainty and change as a threat, which results in your prefrontal cortex, which handles long-term thinking, self-control, and planning, to be triggered. And in this state of stress, your body goes into comfort mode, which often looks like laziness, overeating, distraction, and avoidance. So that combo with your boss about a pay raise, guess what? It's not happening because your brain is telling you not only that that conversation is threatening, but that the idea of you making more money is dangerous. And that New Year's resolution to go to the gym and eat healthy, you guessed it, that's unsafe. Too much change. Your body can't regulate the emotional stress of an unfamiliar cycle. And that person you really like and want to start dating, you will literally have to convince your mind and body it's safe to take the next step in the relationship. Otherwise, you run the risk of ghosting them like the last few people. Or maybe you don't do that. Maybe I'm just projecting. Isn't this fun? Personally, I've really struggled with self-sabotage for what seems like my whole life, really. Sometimes it shows up as imposter syndrome, where I feel guilty for achieving something and give it up because I start to feel unworthy. For example, in 8th grade, I won Outstanding Orchestra Member for being the first chair cellist, and I couldn't even be happy for myself because I felt like I'd scammed my way to the top. I didn't practice as much as the others. I couldn't read sheet music as well. I wasn't as passionate about cello as I thought I should have been. Looking back, I know now that I was really just uncomfortable with the recognition and change. So in 9th grade, I switched to upright bass, hoping to throw myself to the back of the crowd, quite literally, because upright bassists were always in the back of the orchestra. Apparently, the sound resonated better from the back. Who knows? And even now, I have to work really hard to make sure I'm not sabotaging my relationships by setting reasonable boundaries and communicating my needs and fears clearly. But knowing that self sabotage is rooted in a desire for safety, I'm forced to rethink a lot of my negative behaviors. For example, I'm on tarot TikTok, and I often get collective readings saying I'm meant to break a generational curse, that I'm meant to be the wealthiest person in my family, that I'm meant to be famous, etc., etc. But I never fully believe what they're saying. And even if I do believe it, somewhere deep down, my thoughts are sabotaging my manifestations. Because my current job and my current salary feel safe, even if I didn't like it or if I wasn't getting paid as much as I want. My social status as of today feels safe, even if I want more followers, even if I want more recognition. My time spent single feels safer than a new relationship, even if I desire a relationship. So I can never fully have more money, more fame, more romance until I can convince myself that I'm not only worthy of obtaining those things, but that it's safe for me to do so. Wow, even saying that out loud kind of makes me feel lighter. Which brings me to the next segment of this episode, the part where we give it some space. This is something I do in all of my episodes, even though there's only 2 right now. Something that makes me feel more present in mind and body. So if you want to join me, feel free. I'm going to take a second to get more comfortable, closing my eyes since I'm not driving or doing something important, allowing myself to sink deeper into my bed, becoming less aware of my surroundings and more aware of my thoughts. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. As I start to unwind, I'm going to think of all my goals for the future, or at least the ones that feel most attainable to me in this moment. Maybe it's a pay raise. Maybe it's moving into a new apartment, buying a car, working out, eating healthier, carving out time to travel. Whatever my goals are, I'm imagining them in my mind, taking note of how I feel while I do so. Right now, I'm starting to feel a little bit of anxiety in my chest. Kind of feels like there's a weight. As much as I want to be excited right now, I can still feel that tension. So even though I want to feel warm and giddy and excited when I think about my goals and my desires and my future, somewhere inside I also feel doubt and criticism. Almost like there's a separate version of me that just does not want me to succeed or be happy no matter what I do. So, taking what I know about self sabotage, I want to remind myself that these are not simply dreams. I can make them my reality so long as I show myself I can be safe and comfortable with change. To do that, I can repeat this affirmation, altering it to fit each of my goals. It is safe for me to prioritize my physical health and mental well being. I am safe in my relationships. I am comfortable with receiving more money. I will not allow my need for control and comfort to block me from achieving my goals. Take these feelings, these dreams, these visions of the future, and sit with them. Acknowledge any anxiety or fear. Give it some space. Closing out this exercise, we can slowly start readjusting to the present moment, remembering that we are not alone in our sabotaging behaviors, that we don't need to be fixed, that this isn't a habit that we can break overnight. But we've learned the what and why behind our faults. We've felt them, giving ourselves the space we need to acknowledge that our fears of discomfort and fears of change are ultimately what caused the self-sabotage in the first place. And now, what we do with that information is up to each of us individually. If you want to try and break through those self-limiting beliefs or continue to sabotage, if you want to seek out ways to break the cycle, or if you just want to continue about your day and ignore me entirely, all of those decisions are valid. And again, self-sabotage is such a huge issue in so many people around the world that your expectation should not be that you can live without sabotaging for the rest of your life, because somewhere along the line, it's going to happen sooner rather than later. It's human nature. And this kind of coincides with my last episode about fear, but fear is something that we can never really get over. It's not something that we have full control over either. So our bodies and our minds create fear as a mechanism to increase the safety, or at least the feelings of safety in ourselves. Self-sabotage kind of does the same, except instead of making you afraid of things to preserve safety, it's making you avoid things that might make you feel unsafe. So it's not causing fear, which then in turn causes you to want to strive for safety. It's making you stay stagnant and stay where you are because of a fear of the unknown. And that's a bodily reaction. And I'm pretty sure I just said the same thing, but in different words. So maybe fear and self sabotage are one and the same. And if they are, that sucks even more. But self sabotage is just so deeply rooted in our bodies and in our minds that it's not just like this easy peasy, oh, well, I've seen it, I've acknowledged it, I know I self sabotage, and now I can stop doing that. Because it's just so much more complicated. There's so many more layers. You really have to be willing to dig deeper into yourself. Because, again, if we were to personify self sabotage the way that we personified fear in the last episode, self sabotage is basically just like this shadow version of yourself that's afraid of everything. It's like the movie Inside Out, where you have emotions that are characters in your brain. Fear is one, panic is one, anxiety is one, self sabotage is one. And self sabotage is the one that maybe it really wants for you to succeed. Maybe it really wants you to do well in the world. Maybe it's what sparks your dreams and your aspirations, and it's what pushes you beyond what you even knew you were capable of. But at the same time, it's best friends with fear. And fear and anxiety is saying, oh, well, it's not safe for you to do that because that's uncomfortable. You've never done that before. That's a new cycle. That's a new routine. We're not used to that. Your body can't handle that. We can't handle that. So then self-sabotage is what says, oh, well, that's not safe. So instead of traveling the world because you want to experience new cultures, we're just going to stay here and think about traveling the world because it's easier for us to think about it and be in our beds than it is to actually go out and do it, even though that's what would make us happy. Because it's not about happiness, it's about safety. And as much as this is a mind thing, it's also a physical body thing. So for me, I used to make these really, really absurd, totally unrealistic New Year's goals where I was going to start working out 5 times a week and I was going to cut out sugar and I was only going to eat holistically. I was going to meal prep and I would get through maybe like the first 2 weeks, max a month. And then after that, I would slowly just start dwindling and that routine would fade away. And I used to get so angry with myself. And I would be like, well, you're just lazy. Like, why can't you stick to this routine? This is so simple. There's people that work out twice a day, every day. There's people that, go vegan, go pescatarian, go vegetarian. Why can't I do this? I should be able to do this. And then I would get in my head that I'm not healthy enough, that I'm lazy, that I'm not capable, that I'll just be a couch potato forever and end up fat and bald or whatever. And then as I started to learn more about self sabotage, I realized that it wasn't a me problem at all. It wasn't a laziness problem. It wasn't a motivation problem. It was that my body was trying to tell me, you're not ready for this. You are not capable of going from 0 to 100 this fast. That's not safe for you. Whether it's safe physically, like I could probably work out 5 times a week, maybe I'd feel sore, but safety wise, physically, I would be okay. But it was mentally. I was not okay mentally because that shifted my routine and my norm so much that my body had a physical reaction saying, this is uncomfortable, this is new, this is unsafe. We shouldn't be doing this. And then I subconsciously stopped that goal. And I still haven't quite figured out how to resolve that issue. I think part of it is just taking things really slow and reminding myself consistently, I am safe to do this. It is safe for me to want to be healthy. It is safe for me to want to work out 5 times a week. But maybe I don't start with 5 times a week. Maybe I start with twice a week and then I move up to 3 times a week. And the other thing too is you have to keep in mind your goals shouldn't be, I'm going to work out 5 times a week because I want to lose 30 pounds by the summer. That's unrealistic. Your body, of course, is going to sabotage and say, that's not attainable, that's not realistic, that's not safe for us to do in 3 months. Your goals should be, this is for the betterment of my mind or my body, and I'm going to continue this exercise or this diet or this journaling or meditation practice or this career goal or choice or whatever throughout the rest of my life because it's just so good for me that I can do it forever, instead of saying this is just a temporary goal. Because, of course, like I've said, your body is just going to immediately reject it and say, nope, can't do that. No siree. Good freaking luck. Yeah. Anyways, that was a roundabout way of trying to comfort people listening and saying that, it's not always a you problem. It's not always a lack of motivation. It's not always laziness. It's not always bad goal setting. Majority of the time, it is literally just your body and mind saying, this is new. We don't like it. So we're going to convince you that it's unsafe and then shut it down. So the last thing I'll say, I'll leave you with this, which is also kind of, again, full circle to the title of this episode. Humans are made to evolve, to change, to grow. It's against our nature to preserve things as they are in this moment. So, self-sabotage or not, we are worthy of experiencing a life that feels fulfilling and aligns with our dreams. The only one telling you something isn't attainable is yourself. Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful that you're here and that you stayed with me through this episode. This is Give It Space, your virtual room to slow down, breathe, and just be for a moment. If you want to support this podcast and me, you can get updates and sneak peeks into upcoming episodes on Instagram at GiveItSpacePod, which has a link in the bio where you'll find a TikTok and Patreon listed. I'm always happy to hear your feedback or thoughts for future topics, so shoot me an email at giveitspacepod@gmail.com. Next episode, we'll be talking about Instagram face. A little kickback from the in-depth, nitty-gritty, uncomfortable stuff. We'll be taking a pause from the heavier topics. I'm your host, Vin, and I will see you next time. Pause for intro song. It would still be going right now. Okay. So, dictionary.com defines self-sabotage. Why do I keep saying it like that? Sabotage. No siree. Good fucking luck. I can't say that. Good freaking luck. Yeah.